Good morning. I am going to read today's Substack article and a few poems. So today's is called "The Spiritual Path Will Not Solve Your Personal Life." Awakening does not solve the human condition, it illuminates it. There is a subtle but pervasive hope that the spiritual path will resolve the difficulties of our human life. That through awakening, something will be fixed, our wounds healed, our relationships harmonized, our inner conflicts dissolved. It is an understandable hope, perhaps even an innocent one. As more people come into contact with spiritual teachings, there is often an unspoken expectation that awakening will function as a kind of ultimate solution, that it will succeed where other approaches have failed, and that it will bring a final resolution to the struggles of being human. Yet awakening does not operate in the way we imagine. It does not enter the personal self and rearrange it into a better version, nor does it necessarily heal trauma, resolve relational patterns, or regulate the nervous system. It does not guarantee that the human life will suddenly become coherent, peaceful, or free from difficulty. What awakening reveals is something far more fundamental. It is a shift in identity, a recognition of that which is prior to the person, prior even to experience itself. It is the discovery of a ground of being that remains untouched by the movements of the mind, the fluctuations of emotion, and the narratives we carry about ourselves. In that recognition, something may relax. The grip of identification can soften, and the sense of being a separate, struggling self may begin to dissolve. However, the conditioning of a lifetime, the imprint held within the body, the nervous system, and the emotional field does not simply vanish. The body continues to carry its history. The nervous system continues to respond according to its shaping, and emotional patterns and relational habits can persist, sometimes with surprising intensity. For many, these patterns do not recede, but instead become more visible. What awakening removes is not our humanity, but our capacity to avoid it. Without the same level of identification, there can be a greater exposure to what has long been held beneath the surface. Old wounds, previously hidden or defended against, may begin to show themselves more clearly. Patterns that once operated in the background can move into the foreground, asking to be met with a new kind of attention. This is often where misunderstanding gives way to disappointment or confusion. The expectation was that awakening would fix these aspects of life, yet instead they are illuminated, sometimes starkly. At this point, it can feel as though something has gone wrong. Questions may arise. Why does struggle remain? Why do these patterns continue? And should not this awakening have changed everything? Yet perhaps nothing has gone wrong at all. What is being revealed may be the necessity of another movement, one that is not about transcendence, but about intimacy. The intimacy of meeting the human dimension of life as it is. This may include forms of personal work that seem at first unrelated to spirituality, therapy, trauma-informed inquiry, honest relational engagement, and the willingness to feel what has long been unfelt. These are not undertaken as projects of self-improvement, but as expressions of care for the life that is here. In this way, the spiritual path and the human path are not separate, but are two movements within a single unfolding. One reveals the timeless, the ever-present ground of being, while the other tends to the time-bound, the body, the psyche, and the relational field. If either is neglected, something remains incomplete. Without awakening, personal work can become an endless refinement of the self without true resolution. Without personal work, awakening can remain disembodied, unable to fully express itself within the lived reality of a human life. Together, however, they begin to come into alignment, not perfectly or all at once, but gradually through a deepening honesty. There is a maturing that takes place, a recognition that no path allows us to bypass the reality of being human. Love does not exclude our wounds, but meets them, and clarity does not erase conditioning, but brings it into the light. The unresolved patterns, emotional contractions, and relational difficulties are not signs of failure, but part of the unfolding itself, invitations into a deeper integration. Awakening does not solve the human condition, it illuminates it. And within that illumination, a different possibility begins to emerge, not the fixing of a self, but the softening of resistance, not the perfection of a life, but the willingness to meet life as it is. In this, something quiet and real begins to take root, a life no longer divided between spirit and human, but lived as a single, undivided movement of being. A few poems to round that off. Way down at the root, you will find love. Though it is veiled by the restless surface, by the shifting play of form, still, if you fall ever deeper within, you will find it there, unmoving, untouched, prior to all becoming, love at the root of everything. Give your attention to your soul's beauty, to the love that longs to shine. Give allegiance only to that inner spark that carries the light into the darkness. The one who sees through the dust in his eyes is full of belief and opinion, convinced by appearances. The one who sees from the eye of awareness is silent, empty of belief, for he has seen through the illusion of form. The past dies in every moment, yet here you are carrying those heavy bags filled with dust. Look inside, they are empty. You are carrying imagination. The last one. My friend, you are not a small, insignificant star in the vast universe. You are the vast universe in the form of a star with a name and a purpose to shine a unique light back into the vastness. Thanks for watching.